Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tearing into a massive shift in how we work, specifically looking at how AI is completely rewiring the business analyst role. Let's be real, we're finally moving away from that era defined by endless, tedious manual documentation and stepping boldly into a world of high-speed strategy. If you've ever felt completely buried in process mapping or overwhelmed staring at user story requirements, you're absolutely going to want to pay close attention to this. We're unpacking this huge transformation, exploring exactly how AI is changing our daily workflows, but also looking at why your human governance has literally never been more critical.
Okay, let's dive right into this roadmap. We're going to cover the analysis paralysis problem, automating the blank page, and getting visual intelligence in seconds. Then we'll shift gears to look at the governance illusion, the absolute necessity of a human in the loop, and wrap up with why your judgment remains irreplaceable.
Section 1, the analysis paralysis problem. Now, before we look at the shiny new AI solutions, we need to talk about the friction. You know the friction, right? The stuff that slows down project delivery, creates miles of documentation debt, and just completely drains our creative energy. Are you tired of analysis paralysis? Just be honest with yourself for a second. Are you exhausted staring at blank Jira tickets, wondering how on earth you're going to start breaking down a massive epic? Or maybe you're constantly redrawing the exact same process maps because a stakeholder changed their mind in an email thread that's buried 50 messages deep. It's a universal pain point in our world, and honestly, it just drags us away from actual problem solving. Think about the manual drudgery in legacy BA work. As outlined by the AI platform Jetta.ai, we're spending hours dragging little swim lanes, boxes, and decision diamonds one at a time in outdated Visio process maps. Every stakeholder interview we do produces notes that take hours to synthesize. And don't even get me started on those incredibly fragile Excel traceability matrices where you're linking requirements to test cases across a dozen spreadsheet tabs. It eats up so much valuable analysis time. Add in static stakeholder power interest grids that are practically obsolete the second you save the file, and post-workshop synthesis that takes days just to turn whiteboard sticky notes into actual deliverables. Half your time goes to data prep and formatting, instead of generating real insights. Section 2, automating the blank page. Thankfully, there's a way out of all this administrative heavy lifting. We're moving past the old manual method of blindly copying and pasting notes into a standard LLM without any project context, which, as you know, just gives you incredibly generic, unhelpful outputs. Now, we have AI-assisted synthesis. There's this fascinating case study from ThoughtWorks showing how custom Copilot agents, like their internal Haven team assistant, eliminated this manual copy-pasting entirely. These custom agents directly access your specific project documentation, stuff like your system architecture and epic descriptions, so they generate deeply contextualized drafts right there inside your workflow. So how do you actually pull this off? Following the ThoughtWorks workflow, step 1 is defining reusable domain context. And context is everything here. You've got to define the architecture, the domain logic, and system rules once so the AI actually understands your specific business environment. Step 2, you feed the epic to the AI agent. You let the AI autonomously draft the initial user stories, acceptance criteria, and testing scenarios based on all that deep context. And then step 3, which is absolutely crucial, iterate interactively. You never just accept the first draft, right? You interactively refine it with the AI, asking the agent to strip out any hallucinated implementation details or unnecessary noise, ensuring it stays focused purely on business value.
The tangible results from this, they really speak for themselves. The ThoughtWorks pilot demonstrated roughly a 20% reduction in analysis time just for writing stories. But it wasn't just about going faster. The team actually reported finding 10% fewer bugs when testing the developer's work later down the line. Why? Because the AI assistant caught obscure edge cases right up front. It made sure the story definitions were incredibly comprehensive before a single line of code was ever written.
Moving on to Section 3, visual intelligence in seconds.
Now, this is where it gets wild. AI isn't just spitting out blocks of text anymore. It's completely transforming visual process mapping, taking it from a multi-hour chore to a near-instantaneous workflow. We're talking raw data to visual frameworks in 30 seconds flat.
Tools like Jetta.ai use this incredible multi-LLM agent. It's orchestrating models like GPT, Claude, and Gemini simultaneously to compare reasoning, and it instantly turns a simple text prompt into a complex BPMN process map, a RACI matrix, or a UML use case diagram. You literally just type order fulfillment process with approval gates, and the AI encodes hundreds of years of business analysis methodology into a structured visual output in seconds. No way we could do that manually.
Analysts are reporting their process documentation is now a staggering 85% faster. And look, this isn't just a metric about saving you a few hours on a Friday afternoon. It's a massive deal for stakeholder alignment. Stakeholders process visual frameworks 20 times quicker than they process text-heavy reports. So that massive alignment that used to take 3 grueling hour-long meetings, that can now happen in one single, highly collaborative session.
Because we're removing the massive friction of manual diagramming and automating requirements extraction, a single business analyst can successfully manage up to 3 times more concurrent projects. It's a true multiplier for your strategic output, letting you seamlessly scale your expertise across the whole organization. Section 4, the governance illusion. Okay, so with all this incredible speed and visual intelligence, we have to ask the hard question. Who is actually accountable when the AI inevitably makes a mistake? As the International Institute of Business Analysis perfectly puts it, AI is an assistant, not an authority. We absolutely have to anchor our entire workflow on this idea. Accountability for accuracy, for compliance, and for the final business decision always remains with the human professional. AI does not and simply cannot replace your professional judgment. Which brings us to a very real, very dangerous risk, the governance illusion. Tungsten Automation defines this as having human oversight on paper, but not in practice. It happens when companies designate human reviewers who just lack the time, the proper training, or the context to meaningfully evaluate what the AI spits out. If you're blindly trusting AI meeting summaries, or if you rubber stamp an AI-generated system model without verifying its accuracy against business reality, your oversight is honestly just compliance theater. You're effectively letting the machine drive blindfolded, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Section 5, Human in the Loop, often referred to as HITL.
So how do we design systems that actually demand real accountability? Well, Tungsten Automation gives us this brilliant tiered review framework to avoid that governance illusion entirely. You have to strictly calibrate your human-in-the-loop intensity to the actual business risk. Gate 0 is fully automated processing. That's for low-risk, high-confidence tasks. Gate 1 uses a sampled post-hoc review to monitor quality. Gate 2 routes high-confidence tasks through automatically, but sends any low-confidence outputs straight to a human. This is actually the most common pattern you'll see for enterprise workflows. And finally, Gate 3 mandates human review for everything, regardless of the AI's confidence, which is vital for high-value transactions or highly regulated decisions. The takeaway here, you don't need a human to look at every single output, but you definitely must deliberately design these gates.
And if a human does intervene, you need rigorous audit trail requirements. To meet strict compliance standards like the ones emerging in the EU AI Act, every single AI override, rejection, or approval has to be systematically logged. We're talking securely tracking the reviewer's identity, the exact timestamp, the final documented rationale for why they made their choice, and the specific AI model's version alongside its confidence score. Having this structured audit trail is exactly how you prove accountability to your stakeholders and regulators without bogging down the whole process.
Finally, Section 6, Judgment remains irreplaceable.
As we bring this explainer home, it is time to elevate the human business analyst to hero status. Yes, the technology is amazing, but AI clears away the tedious busy work specifically so you can focus on what machines simply cannot do. According to the experts at Institute I4, these uniquely human skills include empathy, negotiation, applying deep domain context, and facilitation. You're no longer just sitting in a cubicle producing documents, you are managing complex stakeholder perspectives, you're discovering the real problem space with your users, and you're recommending solutions that deliver tangible value. Always remember this quote: AI generates for you, but the best AI thinks with you. An AI-generated requirement, a synthesized process map, or a drafted user story, these are only ever a starting point. True alignment still requires human facilitation, ethical awareness, and collaborative validation on a shared canvas. The AI gives you an incredibly powerful head start for sure, but you must be the one to critically evaluate it and carry the project across the finish line. So I'll leave you with this. Will you let AI manage you, or will you manage AI? It's a provocative question, I know, but it challenges you to take true ownership. At the end of the day, you are the ultimate decision maker. It is entirely up to you to actively design your governance loops, challenge the AI's outputs, and use these powerful visual tools to deliver unprecedented strategic value to your team. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you leave today feeling super empowered to go transform your own analytical workflows.